How's it going, everybody? Gamer Wayne. Welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to be building a Nintendo M-82 kiosk, and I'm kind of nervous about this project. It's pretty beastly. There's a lot of angles in this stuff I've never really done with woodworking before. And you know lumber isn't cheap, so if I make a mistake, it's going to be a very costly mistake. And I got two 4x8 sheets of plywood to start with. Hopefully that's enough for at least most of the kiosk build, but we'll find out. I got a piece of I got a piece of graph paper, and I've actually spent the last 3 hours on this. It's hard to see. I drew up the design of how I wanted it to look. That's from the front. And each one of the small blocks represents 3 inches, and the bigger blocks are a foot. There's a see-through side image of it, and then you have a solid side of it. Now I got the idea off of eBay. There's actually a M-82 kiosk on eBay, but they're asking $35,000. I'm not gonna spend that, so I just decided to try to build my own. Let's go. First cut I'm gonna make is 6 foot 6 inches, 6.5 feet. That's how tall the kiosk is gonna be. Now I'm just making the side pieces. It leans back a little bit, so the very bottom of it comes straight up about 6 inches. I'm going to make that 26 inches wide and do that on this side, and then it'll bend back this way, and then I'll do the bottom on that side so they can fit past each other, and I can stick with just using one board for both sides. I got my lines done. This is going to be the bottom of one side, and that's the edge of the line right there, and this is the top of the other, and I'm going to cut right down the center of that so I can split this wood up and then make my sides. Now what I'm going to do is flip this piece onto this piece and make the exact same shape, drawing onto it to make sure I get it exactly even. And now I got my sides cut out. Now I'm going to use the second 4x8 sheet of plywood, and I'm going to cut out 25.5 inch strips, and that'll be how wide the inside is, and then with the 2 outer sides it'll be a total of 27 inches wide. Here's my 25.5 inch wide piece, and I'll be able to cut this up into strips for shelving on the kiosk. Next is going to be the front kickboard, 6 inches tall, the floor, and the backboard. And like I said, they're all going to be 25.5 inches wide, making the whole thing 27 inches long. Here's the kickboard. This next piece will be for the floor. It's gonna be 24.5 inches long and that'll allow room for the kick plate in front of it and the backboard behind it, hiding the floorboard. Now I'm just going to put pocket holes in the floorboard, the kickboard, and the backboard. Now we're going to find out if all my measurements were right, and hopefully everything fits like a glove. The first part we're going to screw on here is the backboard. Alright, to stay tuned, the next thing we got going on, we're going to mount the M-82 shelf where the M-82 is going to sit at 35 inches. At 36 inches, that's where the top of the shelf is going to be and the bottom of the M-82 unit. And at 46 inches is where the base of the TV is going to sit. I'm going to make the shelf come out to the edge originally, put the TV on it, see where the TV sits on it, and I'm going to cut the excess off because there's going to be an angled piece that goes from the TV down to the top of the M-82 unit, and I got to figure all that out. So we're also going to try to round the corners tonight at the top and put the top shelf in and cut the hole in the back for the fans for the M-82. Hopefully I can get all that done tonight. Like I said, it's night 2. I'm doing this project after my working hours, so I can only get so much done in a day. Alright, now this is the TV shelf here. I'm only going to put enough screws to support the TV temporarily. That way I can see where the front of the TV is going to come to on this side. And that's where I'll know where to cut the front shelf down to. Alright, so you may notice this little lip sticking up here. That's on purpose to keep the TV from falling out the back. This is the hard part. I'm really not sure how I'm going to do it. I'm going to kind of figure it out as I go. I'm going to start with drawing a line where the front of the TV is. And I'm going to cut that piece of wood off. And the plan is to have these sides covered by wood, but I still need to access the buttons. I might have the remote for this TV, but I'm not sure. Even if I did, I have to have a way to access this, even with the remote, because of the sensor. I also have a piece of thinner wood covering around the M-82 console, and the fan will be in the back to keep it cool. So what I did, I took this extra piece that's 25.5 inches long that fit in here, that I cut off from the shelf piece here, the TV shelf, and I'm gonna mount it right up here, even with this, and then I'm gonna take a thinner sheet of 1/8 inch plywood, I believe it is, and I'm going to cut the center of it out and maybe around the buttons, see how that looks, see if I like it or not. It's kind of just experimenting at this point. So, slight mistake, this is 1/4 inch plywood, not 1/8 inch like I said before. So here we are, day 3. I didn't get as far as I would have liked to on the kiosk last night. I got the M-82 shelf put in, the TV shelf put in, and then a top brace here, and that's to be able to mount a screen over the TV. The problem with the TV is that it has this front lip right here, and it doesn't allow the screen I made for it to go flat out against it. So I'm gonna try to cut a hole in the screen and see how that looks. See if I can work something around that. If not, I'm gonna have to figure out something else to make it look good. So it's all trial and error right now. Trying to figure out the best approach to make the best looking thing. So we'll see what happens. Day 3. Alright, now I got another piece of 1/4 inch plywood, and I'm going to try to cut out a piece that goes over the M-82 and leans back towards the bottom of the screen of the TV. And then I'm going to try to put it in place with that screen, and hopefully it gives some good angles and it looks really good. But we'll find out. So this piece is 15.5 inches tall, and it goes right to the bottom of the TV screen. So I think I'm going to tack this piece in here, and I'm going to try to get some 1x4s, connect them to this piece. That way I can just put it on some hinges, so I can hinge it down to turn on the M-82 and also access the buttons on the TV. So what I'm going to do now, take this piece of wood and I'm going to cut it down to 4 3/8, and that'll go on both sides. Make 2 pieces to go on each side of the M-82, so I have to cut them down the length as well. And then I'm also going to cut a hole in this to go around the M-82 as well. And again, this is supposed to be a hinged piece, so I can turn on the M-82 and access the TV buttons. So I don't know if I'm going to like this design, but I'm going to build it and test it and see how I do like it. I think we'll roll with this and see how it works. Alright, so I'm going to tack the pieces on with the nail gun. These are really thin nails. I think they're 18 gauge, so if it's not something I like, I can easily take it back apart. Got these hinges here, and I'm just gonna line them up to where they need to go and put them on and see how it all works together. So I wasn't sure if I liked it at first, but can reach back here, kick on the M-82, turn on the TV, adjust the volume in that. Boom. I like it. All right, next I'm gonna do some sanding. I'm gonna clean up the edges and round off the top. Alright, so here I'm just making the NES cartridge grooves on the side of the cabinet. I started up 8 inches and I came down from the top 9 inches. Then I came inward 5 inches on the bottom at each side. And at the top front I came in 7 inches, and in the rear back I came in 6 inches at the top. Then I'm just alternating 3/4 inch and 1 inch lines, and I'm gonna route everything out that is 3/4 inches. It's a tedious process. There's really no instructions for this. Well, there will be now that I make this video, but this is a big part. If I mess this up, it's gonna really stink because this is a $60 piece of wood. So I'm definitely gonna get a test piece and try it out. But for now, I'm just making lines and going from there. This is one of the scariest parts. My heart is pounding right now. This router can travel so easily, and if it travels at all, it's gonna look awful. I'm gonna take a nail gun down here and get a piece of wood secured to it so I have something to rest it against, and hopefully I keep it from drifting. I'm so nervous. It's gonna be so long and tedious, just being super careful here. Alright guys, so it's day 4. We're about 15 hours into the build right now. One of the main reasons I wanted this M-82 Kiosk is because of the grooves on the side that look like the NES cartridges. That to me was just awesome, and that's what really wanted me to start this project in the first place. And I just finished the first side of it here on day 4, and I'm getting ready to start the other side. Not only was it the part that I wanted the most, but it was also the part that I was most worried about, because man, one slip of the router and like I said, it's over. You just wasted a lot of time and a lot of money with the cost of lumber these days. So here it is. I just love the way it's coming out. So I'm getting ready to start the second side now. I got the top line and the bottom line. And this is gonna take another 3 hours for this side over here. Mainly, I'm not rushing through it just because I don't wanna mess it up. But when this is done, it's gonna look so nice. So this side here is 4 1/4 all the way down from the edge. So even though this is on a slant, it goes back a 4 1/4 all the way down. All right, I got the second side all drawn up now. So it's just time to route it out and we'll be done with the sides. Alright guys, day 5, and I finally finished the routing. It took way longer than expected. It was so tedious, like I probably already mentioned. But here are both sides completed besides the sanding. Oh yeah, it looks awesome. I'm super excited with the way it came out. It was a lot of work, but well worth it. Next, I've got the door, and there's like a panel that comes out flat here and goes down. I don't know if I really want that part in there. It's gonna add a lot of extra weight, but I kind of want to keep it as authentic as possible. This piece of wood is just sitting in there so I could see how it looked with everything. And then I still got to do the cutout in the back for the fan, and then the top sign, which I'm waiting on red plexiglass for that. But yeah, here it is so far. Super excited. All right, so before I start the door and the shelf piece up here, I'm going to take this kick plate off and route a line going across here. There's just a red line that goes across the bottom here. Alright, so I'm going to make it 2 inches in from each side, and then 1 1/8 from the top down. And same concept as before. Sometimes you just got to solve problems. Here it is with the line in it. All right, and the next piece we're gonna build is this little shelf that goes across here. I'm just gonna take a guess at how big I wanna make it. Probably about 5 inches. I think 5 inches will work pretty good. And then again, the inside is still 25.5 inches wide. Got all these nails from the routing job. Can I finish cutting my piece of wood, please? Nice. That surge protector is faulty, so You can't run more than one thing at a time. So with the light on and the saw on, he was cutting it out. Sometimes it works, but other times it'll do that. Now that I got my 5-inch piece, I'm gonna make it 25.5 inches wide. Then we're gonna put some pocket holes in, get it mounted up. Oh man, dang it. Alright, I got this piece of wood that I'm gonna cut down to 5 inches. And this is going to be the angled piece of wood on the sides that the gun actually mounts to and kind of makes that table thing coming out. I'm going to make it about 10 inches away from the kiosk coming outwards. So I'm going to draw a line at about 10 inches and then draw a line from the bottom corner up to the 10 inches, and that'll give it the angle I need. And after I get this piece here cut out, I'm just gonna put it on the same block of wood and trace out the other piece. Then put some pocket holes in there, mount it up, and then I've got some 1/4 inch plywood that I'll use to set on top of it and underneath of it. Now that I think about it, this might already be cut to the right angle. I may just have to cut a piece off. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Here's my 2 side pieces. Alright, and I'm just gonna set these triangles 1.5 inches inward from the inside side of the kiosk. I'm going to take this 1/4 inch piece of plywood right here, and I'm going to cut it down to the outer lengths of these. I'm going to sit right there like that. This is too cool. So next up, we're going to cut this door down that we had tested before and cut it down to 24 3/8, because that's how wide or tall the gap is now after that other piece of wood was put in there. I've got 2 hinges, and I'm just gonna line them up with these lines that I made for the line going across here. Just go ahead and mount them right there. Screw them in, and I'm probably gonna put some other wood behind the door so it can only go flush with the edges like it is now. Right now it's just slightly sitting in there, but once I do that, put some wood back there, I'll be able to shut the door and open it properly. You know, I think I'm gonna mount those pieces of wood behind it first, so that way, you know, the door quits falling backwards. All right, now I got these little sticks here. I'm gonna mount them 3/4 inch in. Much better. Oh, my pencil. And the original kiosk had a key right up here, so I'm gonna install a key lock up here. I got 2 Forstner bits here. One's 1 inch, one's 3/4. I'm gonna start with the 1 inch one first, go a little bit into the wood, And then I'm gonna finish it off with the 3/4. That's so this part of the lock here can be recessed, and this one can make it all the way through. Now I'm just switching to the 3/4. Now I have this board that's 19 inches tall, and I'm gonna cut it down to 25.5 inches wide, and this is gonna be the top piece. I got another piece for the bottom, and I'm just gonna cut it down to 25.5 inches as well. Got the other piece of that wood, and I'm gonna cut 2 pieces down to 8 inches, and those are gonna be the sides of the light box. Now I'm just cutting grooves in the top and bottom that are gonna be 1/4 inch deep, and that's to hold the plexiglass in place. Alright guys, day 6 of the build. I was gonna take a break today, but some plans fell through. I didn't record this part of the video yet. Well, I recorded it, but I'm not gonna put it in here. This whole thing is built out of plywood, and it worked for the most part. If I went back and did it, I'd spend the extra money on solid wood. It's worked out so far until I got to this top part here. You can see when I routed for the glass to go in, it put chips all along the line there. So I'm not gonna be able to use this. I just kind of threw it together to test it, the measurements and everything. So I'm gonna make these pieces out of solid wood. I picked up some solid wood today, and I'm gonna go with that and make this sign. And then I got the cutout in the back for the fans. That's gonna go back there where the M-82 sits, so the M-82 stays cold. And it's just, I think at that point it's sanding and painting. I'm gonna put a shelf in too. I think down in here. I think I might put a shelf in. I'm not sure yet. So anyways, let's get to it. Alright, so now I'm just cutting the top and bottom piece to 25.5 inches. Alright, next I'm going to cut 2 side pieces down to 8 1/8. Now I'm going to make grooves into the front of the wood where the glass is going to slide in. Alright, so as you can see, I got it up here, and what I'm gonna do is take a ruler and figure out how thick I need to cut a piece of plexiglass. Now I do have red plexiglass on the way that I was gonna use, but now that I'm at this part, I'm just gonna get a clear piece of plexiglass, put it in there, and I'm gonna put some colored LEDs behind it with a remote and see how that looks. So I'm taking a little bit of a different approach just because I'm at this part and I'm ready to continue on with the rest of the build. Now I got my piece of plexiglass, and I'm just going to cut it down to fit inside the box, which inside the box is 8.5 by 24.5. Alright, here's my piece of plexiglass. Just gonna remove the film and get it mounted up in there. Now I'm gonna put some LEDs behind there, and they change color too, so it might look pretty cool. I'm gonna have black vinyl over it, and the Nintendo part will be the clear plexiglass that you see, and then everything else will be black. And then when I put the LEDs in there, I'll be able to change colors and stuff too. So I'm hoping it turns out pretty good this way. So with this, I'll be able to change the colors. I think it's pretty sweet. Yeah, I think it'll light up nicely. All right guys, here we are, day 6 or 7. I don't remember which one. Today I plan on getting the gun mounted right here. That's where it was mounted on the original. And I know I've talked about doing this before, but I'm gonna cut out the hole for the 3 fan blades that are gonna be in the back to cool off the M-82. Plan on getting that done. And then the wife is gonna start working on the vinyl for the plexiglass. I did get a piece of red plexiglass today. If it doesn't look right the way I want it to with just the clear and the LEDs behind it, I'll probably add that red plexiglass to it. And I'm just gonna sand, fix any defects. This came cracked from the actual store. You can see the line going all the way down. I'm gonna wood putty that up and make it really nice and smooth. Just finish it up and then we start painting. It's coming along. Alright, and the first thing I'm about to do is take out the plexiglass and hand it off to the wife so she can start making the vinyl for it. Alright, now that I got the plexiglass out and the vinyl's being made for it, I've got this piece of metal here. This is left over from the band around my PS1 Kiosk build that you can watch if you want to. This metal's left over from that, and I'm going to mount the gun right here on the side. Alright, so I got my piece of metal. I'm going to stick it in the vise here. I've got it marked at 1 inch. That's where I'm going to make the first bend. So I'm going to put that 1 inch line right at the edge of the vise. So I can bend the metal out. Alright, now that I got that 1 inch cut out, I'm going to put it where it goes. Take the gun, try to figure where it goes. I'm just going to take a pencil, run along the gun. 1 3/4 inches, that's where I'm going to make the next bend. Alright, now I'm going to stick it back on there. Stick the gun in there, and I'm going to make another line where it needs to bend inward. That's also 1 3/4 inches. Yes, pencil does draw on metal. I'm surprised. Now this is going to be 1 3/4 inches right here, and I'm going to bend it out to 1 inch over here as well, and then we'll be able to mount it up and we'll have a gun holster. And my vise is actually the perfect size to make these measured bends. I just gotta stick it up against as far as it'll go. Now I just gotta measure 1 inch over here and then cut that off with the hacksaw. Here we have our gun holster. And I'm just gonna drill 2 holes here, 2 holes here, and then mount it onto the kiosk. Looks pretty good. Alright, so the bottom of the shelf sits as tall as this ruler. So I'm just gonna make a line where this ruler is so I know where the shelf is. And then 9 inches above that is where I want the top of the fans to go. So the fan came with the template, and I'm just gonna tape it up here. Now I'm just gonna align the top of the template up with the top line, and then tape it on there and trace it in. I also gotta figure out how far from each side it is, so that way it sits even. And then in the bottom here, I'll drill holes. Alright, now I'm going to take a Forstner bit, drill right through the center of this, and I don't care about any blowout or anything because I'm going to take it and cut it along the line. And now we got the fans installed. Now I'm gonna make 3 holes in the bottom here, and that's so the air can go in through there, come out through here. And I'm just gonna line those 3 holes up with the fans here. Now air can get sucked through here and come out here, and it'll keep my M-82 lasting a long life. Got some spackling here, and I'm just gonna fix any minor defects, like where I stapled the boards down to do the routing and stuff like that.
Everywhere down.
Now I'm just taking some pieces off so I can paint it. You really want to make sure you get up under all the ledges and stuff. Painting this thing is a nightmare. It's so big. I'm just taking the hinges off, and I gotta take the key out so I don't get paint on it. Now I'm just taking the door off. And there's a strip down here that has to be red. So this will be black and red down here. And I'll paint the door off the cabinet so I don't get any black on the side there. This part down here, I'll just get some painter's tape and tape it off so I can paint that black. Right here I got the piece for the light gun, and I got half of it painted already, and I just have it flipped over so I can do the bottom side of it. And the first thing I'm going to use is some automotive primer, and then after that dries I'm going to finish it off with some appliance epoxy. I'm finished with the painting of the cabinet. I don't like how this Nintendo sign is clear. I thought I would like it, but it's not what I was wanting. So I did get the red plexiglass in the mail, and I'm going to cut that down to 24 inches by 8¼ inches and stick it behind the Nintendo sign and secure it back there some way, and then put the light in and see if I like that. If not, I'll have to figure out something else. But we'll try this for now. This might actually work better than I thought. Oh yeah! Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Now we just need to get some light behind there. Oh man, I'm stoked. Alright, I got my LEDs here. I have them plugged in and turned on. I've used these on something before, so the stickiness on the back of them isn't all there, so I'm actually gonna try to staple them into place, and that'll make them last longer anyway. They won't fall off from the glue going bad or anything. So we'll see how it works. This is working out. I'm really stoked. I didn't think it would look that good. Wow. Man, it came out way better than I expected. Really happy about it. All right, now we're just gonna get it all put back together, which shouldn't take that long. So pocket holes are really convenient because you can make them stick out just a little bit so you know where to line the holes up. I need you to push right here.
Push right where?
Right here. And hold it in place, okay? Don't let it move. Dang it! That wasn't ready to go back on yet. This piece has to go on first because of the hinges. Alright, door works like it should. Now all I gotta do is put the lock in, and that's it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the kiosk is built. The only thing I might do to it now is put some polyurethane on it. I don't know. Right now I'm just excited to be done, and I think I might just leave it as is. I don't know. I will get the M-82 and TV and put it in there though. I've got the power supply up behind the TV, but I think I'm just gonna move it down here. There's gonna be a lot of room behind the M-82 anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you the Nintendo M-82 kiosk. Alright, and here it is in the game room, sitting right next to the Pepsi One PS1 kiosk. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to subscribe, and I'll be bringing you more videos like this. Also, make sure to leave a like for the M-82 kiosk. Until next time, I'm Gamer Wayne, and thanks for watching.